was deferred until.
Probably April
Deferred
4th.
April, first meeting in April, yeah, April 4th meeting. That sounds right.
All right, move to defer to the first meeting in April.
Thank you.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have RS 2023-2048, Roland Hurt Welch Styles, approves an application for an Arts Builds Communities Grant from the Tennessee Arts Commission to the Metropolitan Arts Commission to support art projects that broaden access to the arts experience and enhance the sustainability of asset-based cultural enterprises. That motion.
Motion.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. You,
Can I ask a quick question?
sure.
No worries. What is the amount for this, and then how much kind of pass-through do we get from the Arts Commission in any one particular year?
I don't know that I have that second piece of information,
Okay.
but let me pull up the amounts for this. This is an award of $51,790 with a local cash match of that same amount.
Okay, and so a local match. Could that be a question for Ms. Calder, just about kind of pass-through arts funding amounts,
Total pass-through.
whether from Arts Commission or, yeah, just, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Thank you, Councilman Van Reese, for joining us.
Your amendment is on, and it's.
Thank you. My car's in the shop. I had to Uber to here, which is unusual.
You didn't scooter?
No, I thought about getting the bus, but it took too long.
So third, we have bills on second reading. BL 2022-1449, O'Connell, Parker, Benedict, and others, creates Chapter 2153 of the Metropolitan Code, establishing a bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been probably moved and seconded. We have a proposed amendment by O'Connell. You want to give us some?
Hannah, am I right? This one's a housekeeping amendment?
Yes, this
Yeah.
is just the housekeeping amendment.
I'll move the amendment.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions? Yes.
Madam Chair, after the, I'll let you all get the amendment on, and then before we pass, I want to recommend a deferral to.
So now that it has been properly moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you. I've been working with the department, the administration, and the folks on the Vision Zero Task Force. The reason for this bill in the first place is the BPAC used to be very goal-oriented. It's how we established bicycle-friendly community status as a city in the first place through the League of American Bicyclists. It used to be very toolkit-oriented. It produced a lot of commuter maps, and it used to be very citizen-oriented in the sense that it was almost like a design review process for everything from sidewalks and pedestrian encounters with other modes. And basically, it did a lot of connectivity work. It did bike lane review, bike rack, and all of that connectivity piece. By default, that is not the nature of Vision Zero work, and so I think it's important to make sure that as we go forward, we're either very intentional about the Vision Zero process being incredibly expansive and incorporating all of that, or we do revisit this. So we're still sort of in a wait and see mode. I'd recommend a deferral to the first meeting in May, please.
First meeting in April?
May.
May.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions?
Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
I was going to ask Councilman O'Connell, so I appreciate that we are having this conversation because I feel like because we had the walk and bike strategic plan and that, you know, the BPAC was very much in line with that as far as their kind of his work prior up to that point. And then, you know, we got the walk and bike update, sort of, and then the Vision Zero requirements. I know you and I both served on that Vision Zero task force / advisory committee, whatever that was. And it does feel to me very disjointed at this juncture. So I know they're doing good work in Vision Zero. I just didn't know if you could give perhaps a little insight. I mean, if the Vision Zero is going to become this sort of, you know, be all to end all inclusive, like now we've committed to Vision Zero, so now we have to kind of, it feels a little bit like now we gotta cram everything under that umbrella, so.
And that is why I filed this bill,
Okay.
because I didn't see the two things as the same. An advisory committee does all of those things I just suggested. Historically, Vision Zero focuses on reduction of fatalities, which is a good goal, but it's not always the same as how to make the city functionally more accessible to people using different modes, right? Those two often overlap, but Vision Zero is not that umbrella goal in the way that it has historically been applied, because it's a global process, right? Like there is a global, and we have a national version of it that is typically applied, and yes, we are locally seeming to take on a more expansive thing. I'm a little, I will say, I'm a little concerned about the idea that Vision Zero becomes the catch-all for anything related to multimodal connectivity, and so that is why I don't want to withdraw this bill, and I'm willing to see what task force members come up with. I'm willing to see what the department's recommendations are, but I'm also willing to bring back the BPAC because it was very effective when it was staffed and had council and citizen involvement.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. There any other questions, comments? All in favor of the deferral?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, now we have BL 2022-1630. As amended, Swope, Syracuse Hall, and others. Amends the Metro Code to create the Nashville Film and Television Advisory Board. Is there a motion? Second?
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded. I know Councilmember Swope is here.
Hi, Madam Chair.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. You have anything you want to?
I'll be honest with you. This bill's been the same through two different filings now. It hasn't changed. I've said everything there is to say about it at least 8 times. It does one thing and one thing only. Supports the film and television industry, period. No one else.
So, you know, yesterday in Budget and Finance, the
Competing bill was
1631.
indefinitely deferred.
Right. So I know that historically we have been making sure that we track both of these together, and that basically would be my recommendation.
I'd like to go ahead and move this one forward.
As would I.
I agree.
And if I may, Madam Chair, everybody keeps talking about 1630 and 1631 being identical, quote-unquote, bills. They're only identical because part of the original 12, whatever the heck it was lifted from mine and put into that one. Now,
Was it
As far
lifted,
as-
Councilman Swope, all due respect, was it lifted or was that done in an effort to compromise?
it was done in an effort to compromise,
Thank
but
you.
it's still the same language.
Well, but
It
lifted is
doesn't,
negative.
it actually does not address the structure and what each of these does. 1631 creates this monolithic commission where there's multiple subcommittees, and yet again, you're gonna have to have the state Tennessee Entertainment Director deal with some subcommittee of a larger commission under a mayor's office. It's the same mess that has happened over and over again for 30 years. 1630 pulls all that away. It's a very small, very focused, very concise attempt to how do we take the Tennessee franchise and excise tax incentive packages and utilize them to benefit both local and out-of-state businesses, to bring more film and television here. That's exactly what it does. So the two are not the same, and I would respectfully ask you to vote on it.
Yes, Councilman, Zach, yeah.
I know that there have been a lot of meetings that the mayor's office has been doing. Where, out of curiosity, I guess, where is everyone?
Yeah, I share that question. Like, where's the administration?
Where is
on this?
everyone's thoughts on things, and
Well,
because I feel like they might be in different places, but
I can only talk about what happened on yesterday.
sure.
And the administration basically did not take a stance. They felt that the proposed amendment that had been approved by Councilmember Styles and the proposed second substitute by Councilmember Syracuse were very similar, just some very small, minuscule changes and not enough to make a difference. Basically is where I got the understanding. So therefore, it was a, extended conversation in regards to it. And it was indefinitely deferred, and that's why I wanted to recommend that this one be indefinitely, deferred, because I think that they have been tracked together, and we continue to do so to make sure that we are not playing any type of political game.
Well, to Councilmember Young's question, can we get an answer from the administration?
Well, but really quickly, was the indefinite deferral at the request of the sponsor, or?
No, it was not. It was
Okay.
from a member of the Budget and Finance
Because,
Committee.
an indefinite deferral, was it because it had been deferred enough times that it would be an indefinite deferral?
No, so.
Well, we couldn't
Or
come to.
was it an indefinite deferral just because we're just trying to kick the can because we don't feel like we're ever gonna be able to make a choice or do something?
So I can speak to the indefinite deferral. So
Sure.
it was a motion to defer indefinitely by a member of the Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay.
Now, coincidentally, both bills are in a position that if they are deferred again, that is an indefinite deferral by
Regardless.
rule. So,
Gotcha.
but they're two separate things, so the deferral, the indefinite deferral of 1631 would actually be treated a little bit differently because it was deferred under a different rule. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
And, Madam Chair, if I may ask, because you brought it up in the context of deciding what to do about 1630, the proposed second substitute to 1631, was that a friendly substitute or no? And how is it, to tie it to the item we're discussing, how is it related or not to what is proposed in 1630? Like, what was the intent of the second substitute?
Councilmember Syracuse is in here. It was not a friendly amendment, and
Okay.
Stiles indicated it was not a friendly amendment. But we were unable to actually vote on it. We were in discussion over that second amendment when the deferral came up.
I guess my question is, though, was that aligned with what you're trying to achieve with 1630, or are those just completely separate from each other? They're not related?
It was still separate.
Okay.
One still creates a massive conglomerate of industries and then tries to subcommittee it out.
Okay, so I guess my question then to you, Councilman Swope, is, what I've heard from the community across the full spectrum of entertainment, film, television, arts, dance, whatever, is that, we have our Metro Arts Commission, but particular to a variety of other things like related to music, film, television, that there's been some concern that when that is in the mayor's office in any one particular year or term or administration, there's varying levels of intention around that or whatever. So if you're wanting to advance this now, how does this work in concert with the others? Or you're just like, you're gonna sit this on an island and just say, doesn't matter because it only deals with these incentives and doesn't matter how it relates to the other one? Or, y'all talked a lot, you just didn't find there was any opportunity to put this under a larger entertainment vision?
Councilor Henderson, if I may, the way 1630 is written, it allows the 9-member board to come back to us and define where it wants to live. In other words, let the industry tell us what it needs and wants. We don't need to be dictating that. I think that's massive government overstepping.
So are you asserting then that your approach here in 1630 is compatible with 1631, or it
Now,
just to you?
1631 pretty much dictates the mayor's office, or some facsimile thereof.
Okay. Any other questions, Councilmember Henderson?
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Styles, I want to recognize, did I see your hand?
Yes, I was going to give some clarification in regards to the substitute with council member Syracuse. But I'll wait, if you want to get through this, and I'll just mention it all when you get to 1631.
I think that that's the thing, is that these are two separate items, and they've been attached because they're trying to solve similar things, but they really are solving them so differently that I believe that, as a full body, if we're able to get 1630 some feet on it, then there's no reason in the world why the next council or this council at the end or whenever, if 1631 is what we want to do, it couldn't somehow benefit the newly formed Nashville Film and Television Advisory Board as being something that they help. I think that they actually might be able to both live a life, and so I don't want to. There's too much at stake by doing nothing in regard to what that says to our film and television community. I've added my name as a co-sponsor to 1630, and I'd like to see it go all the way through. But I'd also like to keep talking about 1631.
Okay,
Can we go to the administration?
sure. Administration, it's been requested that you speak on this.
Well, the one thing I think is most pertinent to the committee's discussion is that the sponsors of Councilmember Stiles, Councilmember Syracuse, I think are, I don't want to speak for them, but I think they reached a breakthrough last night, and I anticipate a piece of legislation that will have both of their names on it derived from 1631. The administration has three principal pillars. They have reached those pillars. To the extent there were any disagreements on smaller details, they have reached through that, so we're extremely excited. What we're also extremely excited about is that it is one commission. It has separate councils to address particular industries. And the reason that 1630, if it just addresses film and television, it would be duplicative. I do think it's worth noting that the State Entertainment Commission wasn't always the State Entertainment Commission. It too used to be hyper-specified, and they saw the wisdom of having a singular entity. This is what we got from the stakeholders meetings, that they wanted a singular entity. It can have subcommittees, sub-councils that address particular industries, but that was our hope. If 1630 goes forward, it's not only somewhat contradictory to 1631, but it leaves all other entertainment industries as orphans, and we haven't addressed them. I think 1631, as we are expecting to see at the next council meeting, with a genuinely collaborative, hard-fought, I want to say both sponsors, extremely hard-fought. There's not a sentence in there that hasn't been thoroughly dissected and discussed and debated.
That's true.
But I think we're on the verge of a breakthrough, and I would like to give this council the opportunity to see that at the next meeting.
Well, I have a question because, if I may, because the proposed second substitute that Syracuse was offering was one that I never got a chance to talk about, but the thing I liked about it was the fact that there were these two pillars to where things could exist separately and yet under one thing.
Yes.
Are you saying that at the next meeting there would be an opportunity for that to happen?
Yes.
I want to move from one meeting to deferral of 1630.
That would automatically kill it.
Now, it wouldn't necessarily
here.
kill it, it would be an indefinite deferral.
And then you just bring it back.
So you can write to the clerk and ask to bring it back, and we can talk about when best to do that. It could be one meeting.
Does that put it in the same posture as 1631 though?
If he does that.
Well, not exactly. So
On
1631,
the same meeting. In
Well-
terms of the same meeting, yes.
right, but the way that it is now, I think that there's more procedure to getting 1631 back on the agenda.
But they could have them both, at the next meeting, they could have both bills on the agenda.
Not at the next meeting, because they would have to, the sponsor and the chair of the committee would have to have a discussion on the floor about, bringing the bill back for a subsequent meeting. So 2 meetings, I think it could accomplish it. 1, I don't know that necessarily comes back in 1 meeting. I don't know if, Margaret, I don't know if you.
I'm not sure where the discussion is.
Is there,
Should I revise? But, I I mean, I don't think it
It
matters
hasn't been,
if I,
it hasn't been seconded.
right, so, does it matter if I say 1 or 2 meetings, because ultimately it is indefinite, so.
You
Yeah,
still
not
have to bring it
functionally,
back.
yeah.
I mean, because I was ready to move forward, but then hearing that apparently a aha has happened,
Frankenstein is no longer afraid of the fire. Yeah.
I withdraw my motion.
Councilmember, can I ask, if there's a deferral of any length here that has the effect of an indefinite deferral, Councilman Swope can then time it, bringing it back. It's his discretion, but he could time it so that it coincides when the aha second substitute kumbaya moment comes, and you can have all of this discussion at one point, maybe in 2 meetings. Okay. So if it were any deferral, a 1 meeting or 2 meeting, it still serves the same purpose. So I think your motion would be well taken.
Madam Chair.
I'll move to defer 2 meetings.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any other questions or comments?
Can we go to the sponsor? He looked like he had additional.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You sure?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And, as we've just discussed, substitute BL 2022-1631 has been, deferred by rule.
May I make a comment, Chair? In regards to what we just
I
discussed?
apologize, I just nodded like, hi, you're here. It's chair's discretion, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I apologize, Chair.
Right, cause I had offered her the floor.
So, to Mr. Jameson's point, we did come to a moment of trying to make this happen. Emails that we've had since last year have all been about one commission, even the emails that we've been receiving lately. People want to be under one umbrella, having pillars, film, music, diversity, making sure that these are the hallmarks that we're really working on. And just getting together to work out what the rest of that is, but we are at that place where we can give the stakeholders what they want. And I would just like to encourage council members, this isn't about us. This is about what stakeholders saying that they would like to see, and they are telling us that they would like to see one commission. So I would appreciate it when it comes back if you take that into consideration. 1630 really is exclusionary. It doesn't involve many of the other entities that are making us money and helping to market and promote, whether it's theater, whether it's dance, fashion. These are all things that need to be acknowledged, and we accomplish that with 1631.
Okay, any other comments?
I do want to make just a comment for clarity for anybody who may listen to this conversation, that the Metro Arts Commission supports our nonprofit arts culture. This is a consideration for our for-profit arts culture. And I think it's important for people to understand that we're not robbing something from somewhere. This is an amplification of all of the city. So I just wanted to make that point.
Councilmember Allen.
If I can just throw in, at one point I was trying to look at arts, CVC, the Chamber of Commerce, where does this belong? And if you look at the Arts Commission, it doesn't in its mission or in the charter say anything about nonprofit. It's just kind of landed there. So I mean, I appreciate the fact that 1630 opens up the possibility of being affiliated with the Arts Commission. So I hope that part of the discussion will continue.
That's part of what you guys are speaking
That
of.
is a part of 1631.
That's good.
Okay, well, I think did we take the vote? We did we not?
We've not voted on this one.
We did not vote on it.
That's,
For the,
so we could say the same two meeting deferral if we wanted to make that.
I think that it's clean to do it, of just have a vote in here, just so that there's a.
Move a 2-meeting deferral.
Second.
this is for 1631.
Correct.
So it doesn't just, defer by rule.
On the floor it does, but it's not really addressed at all what happens in committee.
Okay,
Committee, we're tracking them together.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you very much.